good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Voice 27 of 1000 Voices, where we are on a mission to interview 1000 inspirational Black Britons. Our guest in this episode of 1000 Voices is Adrian Daniels. And like us over here, Adrian is a podcaster. Adrian is the founder of the Sound of Accra Podcast, where they interview Ghanaian creators and entrepreneurs. Podcasting has opened a number of doors for Adrian. And moving forward, him and the team at the Sound of Accra have big dreams and a vision for where they want to take the podcast. So stay tuned to hear an inspirational story of how Adrian has gone from a shy younger boy to hosting his own networking events, starting his podcast, and to developing his public speaking career. But that's that for now, and without further ado, this is 1000 Voices, and here we have Adrian Daniels.
Yeah, anyway, so thank you for coming to the podcast, though. Very much appreciated. Been looking forward to having you on board. And yeah, and thank you for coming on, sharing your story with our people. Looking forward to speaking with you some more.
Likewise.
Just to start off with, do you mind? Yeah, actually, I always like to start chronologically talking about, background and everything like that. So just looking at your background, your upbringing, can you paint a picture as to what your upbringing looked like, and also how that has influenced the person that you are today?
Okay, cool. So yeah, my upbringing, I wouldn't say is anything out of the norm. Grew up with both parents, born and raised in London. So I had a really good childhood, really enjoyed it. But I think in terms of my life kind of changing a bit, I think really when it really comes down to after my first year of secondary school in London, my whole family wanted to relocate to Ghana. So there I am, 11. I finished year 7, and the family's planned to go to Ghana. So initially it was me, my 2 brothers, and my father already had taken a lead in 1999, I believe, to go off and build his house and then set up and then go and start his law career. So basically, 2001, I believe, me and my brothers joined him in Ghana, and we got enrolled in school and everything. And the first time I came to Ghana, look, people really rave about Christmas time in Ghana, like being a huge exciting festival and all that kind of stuff. But even back then, like, Ghana was still really popping. It was really exciting back then. So I remember I went on holiday in, I think, year 2000, Christmas time, and then I was looking forward to living when I was moving the year after. But once I moved, when I relocated to Ghana, I just realized that it just wasn't the same as going there on holiday. But after a while, I settled in after I had this culture shock, of going to school and, going to school there, and different accents, different cultures, different, customs out there. It was a culture shock from a London kid, coming over there to, with his slang and, the culture that I was already used to. It was clashing with the one over there, So going from, being very spoilt to, receiving canes in my hands and, having people trying to invite themselves to my lunch and stuff like that. I didn't go to I didn't go to a super international school like Ghana International School or anything like that. Morning Star School in Canton, it's just down the road from Oxford Street in Accra or Sue. But yeah, essentially my upbringing. So relocated to Ghana. Lived there for 3 years, went to school and all of that kind of stuff, and I moved back in when I hit 14. I didn't want to go to secondary school. The thought of being bullied by seniors at a boarding school just gave me nightmares. So I wanted to run away back to the UK. I felt like I was missing out. I relocated back to the UK in 2004, and then just continued on. But yeah, man. Fast forward, over the years, I've been going back and forth to Ghana and stuff like that. And in terms of like my career and what I've been doing, I've been first I had an initial interest in music and radio, so I started off wanting to be a music producer. I took music technology and business management at university. I won a few awards, like I won Songwriter of the Year in Hertfordshire when I was 18. I won music technology awards at school and things like that. And then also when I got to university, I did do radio over there. I did radio, had my own radio show, had my own podcast even back then. But then things changed. I think when I kind of like had encounter with God, things changed, and I took a step back from music and radio, and I just kind of focused on finishing my degree. And then when I finished, I just got myself a job. And then if you fast forward, I've spent over 10 years in, tech industry, just working in different types of roles. And yeah, here I am today, man. I'm just trying to, fly the flag for African entrepreneurship and the creators and all of the above.
That's great. Thank you for setting that scene for us. And when you went to Ghana, so you mentioned you finished year 7, you've gone to Ghana, stayed there for 3 years. And you mentioned, obviously, it's going to be a culture shock if you're from London and all of that, and you've moved over to Ghana. It's a massive culture shock, isn't it? And in Osu, so Oxford Street sites in Accra, I'm guessing the family language was Tree then.
Yeah, this is the thing about my parents, right? This one thing I wish they did. I wish they spoke Tree around me, because I would have been fluent. But I picked up bits of Tree here and there, but everyone really spoke English. Whether it was at school, whether it was at home, we all kind of spoke English.
Did that affect you in any way, going back to Ghana and not being fluent in Tree?
Sometimes I was kind of laughed at when my Tree, when the accent wasn't really right, and some of the pronunciations and some of the words and the grammar, wasn't up to scratch. I was laughed at a little bit. They didn't really mock me too much, because I think over the years I built tough skin, and at first I used to be someone very, very shy. That's another thing about my upbringing. I used to be very shy, very much of an introvert. And I think, towards the latter years of maybe university and beyond, that's when I started to, build a tough skin, especially working in sales, B2B sales, B2C sales, business development, etc. I started to build tough skin. And I remember even at school in Ghana, like, oh man, I was so shy to even, leave school and go home, because there was one day where we were told to at least I thought we were told to wear, no school uniform. So I went into school one day, and basically everybody was wearing school uniform, and I was the only one not wearing school uniform. And not only was I not wearing school uniform, my fashion sense was horrible back then. So I was wearing these Captain American shorts. I had a green t-shirt and I had these sandals. Everyone was laughing at me because, for one, what I was wearing, and two, I wasn't even in uniform. Everybody else was in uniform. But anyway, that person got me in trouble. But yeah, like, I was so shy to even leave the classroom. I stayed in the classroom the whole day. I needed to go to the toilet. I held it in. But yeah, I've definitely, changed a lot from going from shy to being more confident. And yeah.
With so you spent some time in Ghana as a child, not being able to speak the language very fluently, anyways, and going through some experiences here and there in school and with the shyness and everything like that. And some years later, it seems as if you enjoy going back to Ghana. You've been going back. You started up your networking events up in Ghana as well. What did you like? Did you have like a love for the country, like for Ghana or something? What happened? Why was it that you now decided, okay, even though I've gone through what I've gone through, even though I might not be fluent, I want to be going back. I enjoy going back, and now I'm going to start these networking events there.
That's a very good question, Tevin. So for me, like, when I came to Ghana, when I was leaving Ghana, like, I always knew that I'll be back to do something. I'll be back in some form, shape. When I was living there the first time, like, my dad always used to talk about how he loved Ghana and how he wants to, like, he's the kind of guy that he'll never leave Ghana. Like, he can go anywhere he wants. He can do whatever he wants, and he's done so well for himself. But he just wants to be in Ghana. And I remember sometimes, like, we'll be driving in a car, and he'll tell me, look, Adrian, look, when you get older, once you've kind of like got yourself together, whatever, or your career, whatever, like, come back and help to develop our country. The Western world is good. Let's use the resources and the knowledge and the education. He's a firm believer in education and, taking advantage of the opportunities that the West gives you and bringing it to West Africa and using it to develop the country. If you go into his study in the house, in the family house, like, you'll see, like, so many books, Kwame Nkrumah, the list goes on. Like, he reads like there's no tomorrow. Honestly, like, he inspires me so much. So yeah, it came from that. from that's one point. And also, I think when I was leaving Ghana to go back to live in the UK, that's when I started to realize how much I appreciate it, which was quite funny. Just that, I remember that last day at school, like when people were upset that I was leaving, that's when I realized that, okay, you know what, I actually appreciate, I actually understand everything now that I'm leaving. Before I didn't understand, before I didn't get it, but now I really appreciated it. Like, so my eyes were starting to open. But what happened was also is that my mother kind of joined my dad, you know, in the late 2010s. Before they weren't really before, basically, there was, long story short, my mother was supposed to live together with my dad, but eventually she joined him in the 2010s. So that also encouraged me to want to go more, to see them more. And every time I'll come out to Ghana, like I'll just, my eyes would be opened and I'll see new things happen. I'll see there's things happen. One of my cousins as well, he would tell me, like, Adrian, he moved also to Ghana in 2010, and then he saw the potential in the future. And I remember having a conversation with him in 2016 and 2017. He's like, Adrian, look, you try and move to Ghana as soon as possible, because this is going to be a place one day where people are going to, you know, race to. You understand? And I saw that, but I think for me it was having people like my grandmother being in the UK. Like, I felt like I had to have one foot in the UK because I wanted to keep an eye on her, and I couldn't go all out in Ghana. So it came from visiting more regularly, you know, from, you know, my dad, and observing him and having conversations with him, and then my eyes being opened more and more to the potential of what Ghana offers.
That's interesting. It's like a lot of family influence, essentially, a lot of family ties. Can you talk a bit about what the roles each of your parents has played, and also your grandmother, actually? What the dynamic was like, that family dynamic for yourself, and the roles that they each individually played in your upbringing?
Yeah. Oh, powerful. So my grandmother, wow, I mean, she played a very, very big role, especially, you know, in my earlier years in life. So, when I was born, basically, I think my mother at that time, she could only, like, afford to kind of, like, look after me for about a year. So after about the first year, like, my mother gave me to my grandmother to take to Ghana for a year or two, whatever. And she said to her, like, look, I need time to save, make some money, and make time for myself. Please take my son, you know, to Ghana for a year or so, and then I'll come and get him in a year or so. And so she, from the beginning, was there. She helped to kind of, like, co-raise me, if you will. Because in my earlier years, my dad wasn't really around. But then, of course, like, things changed. So as the years went on, like, she just continued to stay in the picture. And then she was living in Ghana, I believe, at the time, or she was in the verge of relocating. But anyway, she ended up kind of permanently relocating to London just to help my mum look after me, and to also look after some of my other cousins as well, who were being raised, you know, at that time in a similar reason. So, you know, I was able to bond with her as the years went on. With my mother as well, like, I think, you know, she worked really hard, and she really, you know, taught me what hard work is all about. Just seeing her working really, really hard. My dad too used to work really, really hard, and, you know, they would put boundaries and barriers around me that would stop me from, you know, doing wild things, doing crazy things, you know, that, and would encourage me to do things like reading. And, you know, my mum would take me to piano lessons, or she'll take me to what is it, like, she'll take me to the museum, or she'll encourage me to go to do piano lessons and drum lessons, whatever it is, right? Like, she's that kind of person that wants to, you know, push me to kind of developing my skill sets. And my father was, like, you know, more so, like, pushing me towards, look, these are the careers that you can do, these are the things that you can do, you know, etc., etc. So yeah, I mean, they all played a powerful role in my life.
Nice, really good. All right, let's talk the beginnings of the Sounds of Accra. Yeah? So you've started off with the networking events, and then the podcast came from there. So with those networking events, it's a very entrepreneurial thing to do. Was that your first experience in entrepreneurship?
No, it wasn't actually. it wasn't. I mean, I didn't even see it as an entrepreneurial thing. I saw it more as just a way of bringing people together. You could say entrepreneur because, of course, I did want to make a bit of money out of it. But for me, if I was able to break even and bring people together, meet new connections, and make people happy, and make myself enjoy, being around that energy and around those people, it was still a win for me. I just get a buzz out of networking. It's something that I've done for many, many, many years. I go out of my way to go to networking events. There was even an event yesterday, at one of these hotels that I wanted to go to so bad, but because there's goals, targets that I need to hit this month in terms of not like my career, but like other stuff that I'm working on. And I also needed to recharge because I've been so busy this month. So I said, no, stick to your guns. So, like the networking event, in terms of like how that came along, I like I just told you, like I always have this passion for networking. So basically one day, I decided that, look, I realized that during the Christmas period, there's so many events like this. There's enough events for partying and all this kind of stuff in Ghana and Accra, but there isn't much when it comes to like business and networking and being professional and stuff like that. So I thought, look, let me just start a networking event where the diaspora, because I wanted to take advantage of people all over the world coming to one country and just meet. It's like a global networking party essentially, right? Without us even knowing it. So I thought, let me try and bring all of these faces in one room and just see what happens. Understand? So of course, luckily for me, I've got a family member that owns some nice bit of real estate in the city, in the prime location. So I was able to kind of like get a good rate and hire out like a little hall and get people together. So I ran it for 2 years. So it was called Diaspora Connect. So I think the first one I did in 2018. Man, I was excited. Eventbrite, sold out, sold out. Yeah, because they had to pay at the door, right? Once I got there, 5 people turned up. Because there's like 100 people, because there's like 100 tickets, so that's like 5 people in the door. And this was when I started to learn about events and how events worked, And then anyway, it was just basically friends that came. Anyway, we just had a good time. Secondly, I was like, cool, I'm going to learn from this. Let me try and get people to pay in advance, and let me send out extra reminders, automated sequence reminders, all of this up marketing software to, try and remind people, text, etc. Right? Whatever I can do, right? This was a lot better. 25 to 30 people came, and it was a success in my eyes. Even though it wasn't like 50 to 100 people, like 25 people came. And I think it just broke even as well. So I was perfect. Like it literally paid for the event, the money that came, from the event as well. I even had my first 2 guests from that event as well, which is great. My first ever guest, Bontui Anyete, he was in that room as well, and shout out to him. He's the man behind some really good books and some famous TV shows in Ghana. So shout out to him. British Ghanaian, another British Ghanaian like us. He relocated to Ghana in 2015. So he's been on this for quite some time. But anyway, after that, I realized that, look, this networking thing is once a year. I need more. Like I can't. That's not sustainable. I can't just wait a whole year just to bring people together. I want to be able to network with people on a regular basis. And then I also I remember that my friend always used to tell me, like, Adrian, when you're back at university, like, you're really good at radio. You should continue to do radio. And I'm thinking, nah, it doesn't really make money and stuff like that. This is my best friend that we used to host in the Mix radio show with. So we did it for like maybe 2 years at university. But anyway, I had this random idea to just start a podcast, and I realized, look, there isn't a much on the market when it comes to podcasts, when it comes to Ghana. When you go on YouTube, there's so much content in relation to Ghana, right? Entrepreneurship, Ghana business, Ghana entrepreneurship, Ghana real estate, whatever, tech, you name it, right? When it comes to podcasts, there's hardly anything. There's the odd episode here and there, but more importantly, there's no dedicated podcast that focuses on entrepreneurship, business, and the creative sector in Ghana, right? None. So I thought, you know what? Let me fill in that gap. And start that podcast.
That's really cool. And I guess the very natural caveat from here would be to talk about podcast, but I want to very quickly backtrack and ask about yourself. So what's interesting is how you talk about you've been very shy growing up, and then you go through, a few years later, now you're hosting a radio show at university. Your network, you got like a networking bug, networking all the time, starting up networking events, and that's I think that's quite you're really putting yourself out there when you're starting up networking events, and you got people you don't know and all of that kind of thing. There's one thing attending them, then it's like doing it yourself, and all of these things. These are like things you would probably associate with someone that's traditionally a lot more extrovert. What changed for you?
Yeah, I think again for me, I would give a lot of credit to my career, and also mentorship. Like I had a few people that I could look up to, whether there were a few in person, but also online. Like I started to get into podcasts. I started to listen to loads and loads of podcasts. Let's say 2016 onwards, right? I started to kind of like I started to binge on content and podcasts, whether it's Patrick Bet-David or Valuetainment, people like that, or the Tony Robbins podcast, Apple podcasts as well. People like that. Gary Vaynerchuk, that's when I first heard about him around 2016. So I started to binge on all these people, and those people started to change my mindset in a positive way. But also I had people who are entrepreneurs, like some of my best friends, whatever, who were doing really good things, and I used to observe and watch them, and I used to take notes from them. And then also my job as well, like my job really just kind of like helped me to get out of my shell as well. And I'll never forget this. So basically one of the roles I did, I used to work in an e-commerce agency. So I used to be a product manager, and there'll be a new app launching almost every single week that will have to get out to the market. So not only am I helping to, put the documentation and the features for the app, right? I'm also selling it to online sellers. I'm selling it to the market, and I'm marketing it. I'm doing everything, because this agency wasn't massive, but we had only a few people, so I had to wear many hats. So I was growing in confidence from doing all of those different things, running meetups as well. And then this was a defining moment when one of the companies that we worked with, like an e-commerce software company, right, that we made apps for, they asked me to speak. They asked me to speak in Birmingham in the Vox Arena, which is massive, right? This arena can fit, I think, thousands of people, I think. So when I heard that, I was like, yo, like, that's crazy. So anyway, I did it. And then it went pretty well. It's even on YouTube. I can send you a link later. And then when I shared it on LinkedIn, I'll never forget this. Like, my friends was like, sending. Apparently, my friends were sending it to each other, and I got a message from Adrian, like, I've never seen you like this. You've come out your shell. Like you're like a completely different Adrian that you were at university. So yeah, man, I do owe it to the people around me, like online mentors, offline mentors, and just the things I've gone through.
That's really cool. And then it's a very good example of why it's important to surround yourself with the right sort of people, and take in the right sort of content as well. Good, positive, media and content. There's so much nonsense and negativity out there that is so important to offset all of that with some goodness, and bring in. So that's really good. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So let's talk Sound of Accra. Can you talk about the evolution of the podcast from season 1? I know you're currently working on season 4. When this comes out, I don't know if season 4 will be out or not by then, but let's talk about the evolution of the podcast from season 1 to season 4.
Absolutely. Before I get into that, Tevin, I just want to quickly mention that to get to the Sound of Accra podcast, before the networking event, it was actually londontoaccra.com. So my original idea was londontoaccra.com, like a blog, like a lifestyle travel blog for the diaspora that they could use as a resource anytime they went to Ghana. So anything that they wanted to do, buy, sell real estate, travel, places to eat, taxis, etc. Like it was meant to be like a super guide. That project failed, but I wanted to capitalize on the whole London to Accra keyword on Google. So I bought the domain, and when the website launched, it didn't really pop off. So then that pivoted to the networking event. And then when the networking event wasn't enough, it then pivoted to the podcast. So back to you, I just wanted to just mention that it's taken a while to get to that stage. So in terms of the podcast, in terms of the evolution, wow. So in terms of the evolution, so season 1 was the only season where it's just audio only. So for me, this was completely new for me. I mean, I did have radio experience. I did have a bit of podcasting experience, but I was still quite raw, right? For me, it was just a matter of, you know, running around, you know, messaging people, my existing network, trying to get interviews and trying to get referrals of people. So I remember season 1, it was just audio, no structure. So I remember, you know, when I went to Ghana, I shot my first ever episode in Ghana, you know, Bantu Anyate, and then my second episode was with my cousin. He's big into media and entertainment. And then when I came back to the UK, that's when I did more episodes, and lockdown happened and all that kind of stuff. That was a very interesting experience because it was quite funny, because as soon as I would interview one person, I'll get the interview out as soon as possible, and then I'll have to try and find somebody else as quickly as possible so I can get another episode out in time for the following week. So season 1 was great. Like, it was a little bit of frantic. It was a little bit frantic because there was not much of a structure or schedule. It was just get a guest as quickly as you can, whether you're a friend of a friend, whatever, and just interview them and get the content out. So it was kind of like a scattergun approach when I look back. But I did really remember having some really good conversations. So we had people like Queen Akosua. So she was a lady that I met. She's an American lady that I met who used to be in the army, whatever, out in Ghana. I met her out in Ghana, and she had this Facebook page called, I think it's called Blackutainment or something like that, and it had 1 million followers on Facebook. So I interviewed her about that and her experiences of Ghana, and she told me, and then it was so funny. Like, I remember the beginning of the podcast episode, like the snippet, she's talking about almost getting shot and stuff like that around Cape Coast or something like that. So I think season 1 for me was like, I think it was one of the funniest and one of the most memorable seasons, like because you had people like that come on the show, and you had people like Kirsty Kwarteng, who went to speak on TEDx. She had the Nana project, the Nana project, which is all about documenting, you know, your ancestors in Ghana, so that, you know, when they pass, you have something to look back to, similar to what you're doing, Tevin. I think we had this conversation before. So you had very, very interesting characters on there, but no real structure. And then season 2 was more of a, okay, cool. We've learned from season 1 in the sense that we need to start to have some structure in terms of guests. So I decided that I'm going to pre-record, and then once I've got enough episodes in the bank, then I'm going to start releasing episodes week after week after week. And then I also decided, look, video was starting to get more popular, especially in person. So I decided, look, let me start recording videos. So I used to use a couple of studios, one in Wembley, and then one in, I think it was just the one in Wembley that I only used. And then I think lockdown happened again, so I couldn't go back there, essentially. So with season 2, there was more structure added to the game. The guests got a lot better as well. Like, we had Mika Abraham. She's really good, like, Ghanaian creative. We had Kwame Christian, who has the #1 negotiation podcast in the world. He gets millions of downloads. Yeah, very massive guy. Millions of downloads every year. Not millions of downloads. I think I don't know how often, but anyway, he's got like millions of downloads to podcast currently at the moment, and he just signed a deal with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn actually bought his podcast or something. So it's really, really good. And he's like an Amazon bestseller. We had people like Kwesi Afum. We had Michael Donkor, who were really good in the property and finance game. Really good Ghanaians. And then we had people like even Kevin Brereton, who's like a 5-times Hollywood, 5-times kickboxing world champion, Hollywood actor and an artist and author. That story, I'll never forget that story, because I was looking for a season 2 finale guest, and what happened was I got a random email from Kevin, this guy called Kevin, and when I'm reading them email, it says, "Hey Adrian, my name is Kevin. I somehow stumbled upon your podcast. I'm an ex. I do this. I live in LA. I used to live in England because I was born in England. My mother is Ghanaian, but my mother is British, is English, but my father is Ghanaian. For years I've been trying to find my father. I could never find my father. Bear in mind, this man's in about his 50s or something, or 40s or 50s. I want to come on your show and tell my story about everything that I've done in my career. And my mouth just dropped. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, and this is what I started the show for. Like, I wanted it to be a platform for Ghanaian entrepreneurs and creatives, and I wanted to leave people with meaningful takeaways. So season 2 really it took season 1 to a whole new level, and I was attracting more people. People were getting more aware, and I think the quality of guests was improving. Season 3 I think it just went to a whole nother level. Like, if you thought season 2 was good, season 3 just went to a whole nother level. So I decided, look, we're going all out. No more just me. I started to get a team together. So I got a producer, I got an editor, I got a videographer, I got a studio together, I got a social media manager, whatever. So I put the team together. This is the first time in season 3 we had a team. So we had the team. And then also we had, in-person video. So this is the first season where every single episode was in-person video, no virtuals, no nothing. We didn't have COVID interrupting anything. And not only did we have in-person video, we had different camera angles. So we wanted to really, compete with the likes of people like the Diary of CEO and people like that, with Joe Rogan, whatever, where the quality is just top notch. And it's around the same time YouTube made announcements that they're investing more into the podcast. They're investing more into podcasts. So what you're going to see is that in YouTube is soon going to be a bit more optimized towards podcasts, especially for video. So I wanted to capitalize on that as well. So season 3 was a whole nother level in terms of production, and I had a team around me. And also, this was the first season where I did episodes not only in person in London, but also in person in Ghana. And I remember going on Instagram and telling the listeners, hey, look, we're flying to Ghana and we're going to finish the season there. And we did that, and we finished it well. Our season finale with Darren Bond, once the trailer dropped in social media, 100,000 views. Never, like, that was it. Like, that just took us to a whole nother level. Our Instagram following went through the roof. Subscribers went through the roof. Like, that was the moment that I would say that changed everything. So yeah, season 3 it's a defining moment for me.
That's great. And what's the vision with season 4?
Season 4. So season 4 is interesting. So people were like, how are you gonna beat season 3? So for me, it's now that it's more of taking a step back. So recently I had some meetings with the team, and we just wanted to take a step back and see, look, how can we improve things and make things better? So with season 4, you're going to see a bit more content that's more tailored to what the people want. And you're going to see shorter bursts of content, which is more focused on quality rather than quantity. So with season 3, season 2, season 1, I think the average season was about maybe 15 episodes. But with season 4, you're going to see about 8 episodes. The reason being is that we want to focus on the quality, and also we also want to focus on breaking out the content into different segments. So in season 3, we introduced a new segment called debates. We're going to find a way to rename it. But anyway, in debates, we discussed trending topics or current affairs relating to Ghana that affected a lot of people. So there was one episode called Uber Taxi Bolt Madness, where we're discussing, Ubers, everyone's stories of taking Ubers and catching taxis. Such a really fun episode. I would recommend you guys to check it out if you can relate. We had one called The Great Diaspora Migration. Of course, over the past few months, maybe a couple of years, you've heard people like Stevie Wonder relocating to Ghana, Nas, the rapper, saying he's going to move to Ghana. Everyone's saying they're going to move to Ghana. So we discussed why why this is all happening. So we got into that, and then we had episodes like what other stuff do we have? We had episodes like, so we had Uber taxis, we had the Great Diaspora Migration, and then we had episodes such Oh my God, I've gone blank. But anyway, you guys are going to go check it out. I'm not going to take too much time in your podcast. So yeah, that's the plan of season 4. More quality, less quantity. Brand new podcast segments, breaking out the content that people liked into different segments, and also focusing more on the type of content that people wanted. So when we looked at the analytics, Tevin, we realized that the most popular content was based around real estate, tech, and living, moving, or being successful in Ghana. Those are the top 3 content types that got the most views and had the most watch time as well. Watch time and listen time was those 3 types of segments. So we're now basing it around that. So a lot of exciting stuff, and there's going to be a new series as well, a brand new series. I'm not going to share it right now. Maybe I should. I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah. So we're gonna actually, what I'll say. So we're gonna have a brand new series called Walk and Talk. This has never been done before. So basically, this is gonna be me walking and talking to different entrepreneurs and creators in Ghana, and interviewing them whilst they're showing us their projects. So, for example, I have a developer who's building, I think it's 100 units in Tema or in Ghana. And we've been in Zoom calls a few times. We've been emailing back and forth, saying, "Hey, Adrian, look, November, let's make it happen." So I'm gonna take a camera crew, drones, everything. We're gonna have the whole shebang, and I'm gonna be interviewing them while we're walking around. So let's stepping into the YouTube territory a little bit, but I'm gonna try and make it podcasty as much as I can. So trying to bring some new things and try and take things to a whole nother level.
That's it. That's really cool. That's interesting. I saw your season 3 recap, the Walk and Talk, right? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. That's really cool. What would you say has been your most memorable conversation you've had on your podcast, and why has that been?
Man, most memorable conversation. Wow, man, that's a hard one. I mean, it's a hard one, but there's just so many. There's so many great moments. That's a great question. Honestly, that is a great question. I think the guy from Hollywood, I think the guy from LA was definitely memorable because it was a very emotional moment, because he launched a new book, Kevin Brereton, the journey of an African champion, something like that, and he emailed me a copy of the book as well. So we were talking about like his upbringing and the things that he achieved and the people he had met and the things he accomplished, and then people were calling in just to say, "Hey Kevin, look, congratulations, like you've done such a great job, congratulations on the book, you were amazing," and blah 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 blah. That was definitely a defining moment for me, because like I was like the guy that he found out of nowhere. He found my podcast out of nowhere, and then for him to kind of like, and then for that to be near the time when his book release is about to come out, like it can only be fate, man. It can only be fate. And then when I saw that, it was like, yo, like, yeah, I have to keep going, because there's just so many testimonies and stories that I could share. There's so many. Even yesterday, even a couple of days ago, I get a message saying that I think a guy in America watched one of the episodes in season 3 with Live in Ghana, and because of that, I think they're coming over to buy some property or something like that. And I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, my podcast is actually affecting people, and I'm sure your podcast is definitely going to change and impact a lot of people, Tevin.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, what's next for the Sound of Accra?
Yeah, so in terms of what's next for the Sound of Accra, so of course, season 4 is on the way. So we're doing season 4. That's all well and good, but we're also going to be shooting the debate series in September, which is great. So I probably didn't mention this before. So the debate series, I actually have co-hosts. So it's a few people from young Ghanaian professionals. This is a Ghanaian community aged between age 18 to 30 or 40, I believe, who are based in the UK. I think maybe 400 people strong. And I have friends from the community who I'm a regular co-host. So we're going to be, discussing some more trending topics and current affairs based around Ghana. So that's gonna be shot in September. Season 4 is scheduled to be launched early October. I started recording it this week. Also, I'll be speaking at an event next week as well in Covent Garden, hosted by Ghanaian Londoners in the Move to Ghana Club, which is great. So the Sound of Accra also, we're going to be looking at, on that note, we're going to be looking at maybe doing some live events soon. Maybe not this year, but next year we'd like to do some kind of summit. So whether it's in person or virtual, and essentially bring all of the guests that we've had on the show in the past to kind of teach different things, if that makes sense. And then once we hit certain milestones, this is a big one. Once we hit a certain milestone on some of the platforms, we've had a lot of demand for this. We're going to launch some type of mentorship and job program as well to help people in Ghana and and even outside of Ghana to get matched to jobs and things like that, and also get a bit of mentoring from people like myself in terms of what they want to do in terms of entrepreneurship in the creative space. And we got so much other stuff in the pipeline, but yeah, I mean that's definitely some things we have coming up.
That's really cool. Let's caveat to talk about Ghana more generally. For entrepreneurs in particular, entrepreneurs and creators actually, so your people, kind of people you're interviewing, people in a diaspora based in the UK or US or wherever it is, wanting to move back to Ghana and wanting to start some kind of entrepreneurial endeavor, what advice would you give to someone like that? How different is the landscape, and should they approach things differently?
Absolutely. So definitely approach things differently. What I'll definitely say is if someone is outside the UK and you want to maybe relocate, live in Ghana and maybe have some kind of business. I mean, I was speaking to someone this week, and they said they want to start. They're not even a Ghanaian, they're Nigerian, and they're British Nigerian, and they want to start a rice agriculture business. You understand? And I told them, look, come to the event next week. Come to the event I'm speaking at next week, because you're going to be surrounded by people from the Ghana High Commission, trade and investment, stuff like that. And there's a lot of people in the room who's going to help you. So first and foremost, I'd say they should definitely come to Ghana, okay? Because if you definitely want to be successful in doing business in Ghana, you have to be able to spend a lot of time in Ghana, understand how the country works, how the culture works, and you definitely need to get that culture shock out your system so that you be able to adapt successfully. What I'll definitely say is come and experience it in holiday season, high season, also experience it in low season. You're going to see a completely different Ghana after the storm is gone, after the party is gone, after everyone's gone back to their various countries. Come Ghana off season. For example, as soon as it hit about mid-January, I was in Ghana for a few months. As soon as it hit mid-January, you see the traffic dying down. You see a lot less of the diaspora around, and you see the country function in a slightly different way. So definitely, I would encourage the person, spend a good amount of time if you work remotely, take advantage. Come work remotely in Ghana. There's lots of very nice cafes you can work from. There's lots of co-working spaces that I could even recommend. They can reach out to me, etc. You can work from. There's so many things you can do, right? But yeah, come stay in Ghana for maybe a few months if you can, a few weeks you can, and experience Ghana on off season, not just on the on season. And just observe, just take in the country, see what problems you think exist, and see what value and what your strengths are, and see where you can feel that you can add something to the market that can generate some income. And that's definitely a strong starting point for that person.
Sure, that's very good advice as well. Outside of the partying that a lot of people go to Ghana for around Christmas time, what else is there for people visiting Ghana to experience or to do? What should people be doing when they go to Ghana?
I mean, there's so much. I mean, it really depends. I mean, do you want to do some tourism? I mean, there's so much to do. Ironically, my podcast is called The Sound of Accra, but it's just a name at the end of the day. So, I mean, I will encourage people to go outside Accra and travel. There's so much you can do. I mean, not just the hotels and resorts. I mean, there's so many attractions that you can do. Like there's like a mini safari. There's zoos. There's what is there? I mean, there's like a high obstacle course you can do. Like some people even didn't realize these things even exist. You can go play golf. You can go on the boat cruise. You can go swimming. You can go to the beach. You can there's different experiences you can do. There's just so much you can do. So you can do tourism, be a tourist in Ghana. Definitely go around and see things. There's lots of networking events. You can go and network with people. There's tech hubs as well. Like there's lots of events and competitions and stuff. You can go and watch them and observe and meet people that way as well. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much. It just depends on that particular person.
Yeah, for sure. I think like what's really good about what you and your team are doing with Sound of Accra and all the work around it is that you challenge those kind of those good people might perceive Ghana or maybe even Africa as a whole to be quite one-dimensional. So they might perceive Ghana, you can come here, you can maybe beach, maybe party, and then that's it, and then that's it, and we'll go back home. But it's a normal functioning country the same way the UK is, and it's going to have a load of different inputs in it as well. Same way here, you can go and, I don't know, play golf or do whatever. You can do the same thing back home as well. So, and it's really good because I feel like by you guys having the conversations you're having, it's sort of like you're bridging that gap between the diaspora and then back home in Ghana as well. And letting people see, oh, right, it's a normal place. there's normal things to do. You can live a normal life and do normal things.
You can, yeah. I mean, and that's what the podcast is really about, really. Like, we just want to showcase global Ghanaian excellence, whether it's native Ghanaians or diasporan Ghanaians. We just want to showcase Ghanaian excellence. And I would say, there's another great moment that I had when I was in Ghana. So I went to an event in Christmas period in December 21 called Startups in Ghana. So you have people like remotely who came on my podcast. Shout out to Samuel Brooksworth, who went an apprentice, and then you had other people like Consume Shop who pitched. So there's a startup called Consume Shop who pitched at startups in Ghana, to the likes of Samuel Brooksworth and Julian, who runs Zuberry, and I don't know how it went down with them, but anyway. Like randomly got an email from them saying, hey, look, I don't know how they found out about the show, but hey, look, we want to come on your show. And I was like, great. So these are these diasporan Ghanaians coming to live in Ghana. They lived in Germany, America, you name it. And they take their savings and they started this 60-minute delivery grocery startup in Ghana, where wherever you are in Accra, they'll guarantee that they'll deliver your groceries to you within 60 minutes. And this is an up-and-coming sector right now in Ghana. It's the delivery sector. So, the on-demand delivery or food or takeaway is really, really ramping up in Ghana. Like, it's unbelievable the areas that you can get foods or takeaway your groceries delivered to in Accra. No matter how bad the roads are or how remote you live in Accra, it's absolutely amazing, honestly. And one thing I wanted to say is that you were talking about how the bridge is definitely being gapped. It really is, and I think that's why we're starting to see a lot of people move over to Ghana, especially especially Americans too, because you start to see that the lifestyles start to level up with the West. So you can get 4G out there soon. You're going to be able to get 5G. You've got shopping malls out there. You got the cinemas out there. Sometimes you can even get films out in the cinemas in Ghana before it even comes out in the UK, because they're following the American calendar. You can go to your club. You can go swimming. You can go to the clubs. You can have super fast internet. You can get really nice houses. You can work remotely. There's just so much that just makes you think, and the restaurants as well. There's so much that you do here in the UK that is like, or the US or Canada, that you can easily do in Ghana. And if you don't know that you can do in Ghana, you can ask someone. It's definitely possible. Does this exist in Ghana? Does that exist in Ghana? Ask someone. I can almost guarantee you it exists. It may not just be marketed well, that particular thing or facility that you're looking for.
That's great. All right, let's move on a bit. I've got a couple questions, a bit more reflective about you as a person that I'd like to delve into. First things first. So, what's been the most defining moment of your life so far, and why?
I think, I'll definitely say becoming a Christian. Becoming a Christian definitely has become a defining moment of my life. Because this was at university. So basically, I had encountered God at university in 2010, and the Adrian before I met Christ and the Adrian after I had encounter with God, completely different Adrian. I think that's when I started to tap into my potential more. There was something about the transformation that took place within my life, inside and out, that it just revolutionized my life. And it started from there. It really started from there. I would say that Adrian before that was a Christian and was very people pleasing, was very naive, was very vulnerable, was very reckless. And then the Adrian after was just completely, just a complete 180, just the opposite of all of those words I just mentioned. And those changes has helped me in my personal life, my career and business pursuits and relationships. Just like the Christian principles and the mindset and the thinking and just the way just the lifestyle and the way you go about things. Like you just a whole lot more different. So that definitely is the defining moment, without a shadow of a doubt. That definitely is, and there's other ones as well, but I think that definitely is the one that I can never say no to, in terms of that being the most defining moment.
Great, perfect. All right, next question. What has life taught you so far? Oh, what has life taught you recently, I should say, actually?
So this has been a recurring theme this year for me. So life's taught me recently that you reap what you sow, and the power of compound impact, the power of compound interest and impact. So what I've realized is that, I'll give you an example. So what I've realized is that whether it's in the gym, so whether it's working in the gym, I've seen the changes in terms of just being consistent with going to the gym, like whatever, right? However, how many times a week you want to go to the gym, and then just sticking at it. And you may not see the results from day 10, but I guarantee you keep going, day 31, you're going to see a result if you stuck at it. And if you didn't stick at it consistently between day 10 and day 31, you may miss that little change that you probably see at day 31 that you didn't get before. So that's definitely another one I'll definitely say, like everything just compounds, like especially this podcast as well. Like the way I used to go after guests, right? In season one, I used to go after guests like crazy. And one thing I tell people is that, because I do teach podcasting as well, is that what will happen is that and this is even in business as well, right? Once you get to that year 2, year 3 moment, you've been putting in so much work, and then, the flywheel is spinning this way. What starts to happen is that it gets to a certain point where it starts to spin the other way. So, rather than you putting all the input, all the effort into something, it starts to come back the other way. So before, I'm chasing guests. Now they're chasing me. I've even had some guests that I've turned down. I'm saying, no, look, I'm too busy, or I'm going to do this later. You understand? Or not right now, or please wait. We're going to launch this new series soon. So yeah, definitely compound, the power of compound impact, and what you sow, you definitely reap,
Great. Thank you. What gets you excited about life?
I think it's the unpredictableness of it. You understand? The unpredictableness about life. Like, you could just wake up and then something that you never expect just happens, just like that. Just like you wake up, you switch it, you go on your phone, breaking news, this has happened. Like, whoa, never expected that. And then maybe it could be something that would impact you positively. Maybe it could be even negatively. But I think it's always the kind of curiosity of what's going to happen next. I have no idea what's going to happen. And some people are curious to see where they will want to get. And, I'm not really for people going to try and, see fortune tellers or predict their future or anything like that. I just want things to happen. Just let life happen and just enjoy, life and let it happen to you. And, at the same time, do your best so that whatever happens, when it happens, hopefully you can be in the best possible position to take full advantage.
That's great. And definitely agree with that unpredictability of life thing as well. Makes life a bit more exciting, doesn't it? I think keeps you on your toes as well. All right. So last question. What does the next chapter in your personal story look like?
I think after what I just said earlier, nobody knows really. Nobody knows. Maybe, I don't know, maybe marriage, maybe relocating to Ghana, which is what I'm working on. I think those two things are definitely on the cards. And then, yeah, business wise, maybe leaving full-time work, as well. I think those are a few things that are definitely on the cards for me. So in terms of what I've got plans, it's those things. But at the end of the day, man, only God knows. Only God knows.
That's it. That's great, and a nice way to wrap up. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you coming on. Really enjoyed our conversation as well. So much to take away. So good, man. Thank you for coming on to the podcast. Before we wrap up, for people who want to know where to find you, where to keep up to date with the Sound of Accra as well, how can they best do that? And if you've got any final words as well, you can share them now as well.
Well, thank you very much, Tevin. I've really enjoyed this conversation too, and can keep going with 1,000 voices. I don't know how many more voices you have left to interview. I don't know if it's 950 or something now, but keep going. This is a great project, and I'm excited to see what happens once you get to episode 100, and of course that big 1,000. So in terms of the Sound of Accra podcast, again, just go in Google, put in the Sound of Accra podcast. We got a website. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcast platforms as well. We will be going to TikTok by the end of the month. I've been told to go on TikTok, so apparently I'm going to do that. It's going to be exciting to experiment with that as well, because you have so much short form content. Short form content is really hot these days, isn't it? In terms of myself, Adrian Daniels, I'll be launching my own personal website soon. But for now, I'll say the best place to find me is LinkedIn. Just put in Adrian Daniels. You can connect me on Instagram as well, Adrian Daniels, and Twitter, Adrian Daniels.
Cool, great. All right, so thank you once again for coming to the podcast. Very, very good, and really enjoyed our conversation. So much to take away. But that's that for now, people. So that was Adrian Daniels, the founder of the Sound of Accra. This is 1,000 Voices, and for now, we're out.
Peace.
And that's voice number 27, done and dusted. We do hope that you've extracted some value from this conversation. It's always great to hear back from the community on what some of your key takeaways were from this episode and what you think about 1,000 Voices in general. If you haven't already, please do leave us a review on whichever platform you listen to this podcast on, just letting us know what you thought about this, and or a comment on our social media pages or whichever platform you listen to this podcast on right now. The engagement really does help in trying to amplify the inspirational voices of these people that we have in the podcast. As always, the next episode will be out next week, Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already so you don't miss out on anything. And follow us on our social media pages where we'll keep you up to date with everything to do with 1,000 Voices. But that's that for now. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, people, this is 1,000 Voices, and we're out.